Okay, so gotta be honest, finding a new dentist isn't usually something I'd call, like, thrilling, you know?
Right, not exactly the highlight of your week.
But this deep dive we're doing, it's about the Danforth's dentists. And, well, it's actually way more interesting than I expected.
Yeah, it's a whole lot more than just open wide. We're going to get into the community aspect, the technology, a different way of thinking about how you find a dentist, really.
You got me intrigued. So we're not talking about just any dentist, right? It's about what makes the Danforth, that feeling you get when you're, I don't know, walking down the street, maybe you grab some food at Pantheon, see a show. It's absolutely,
Absolutely. That vibe, it's contagious. The Danforth has this energy that just, it seeps into everything, especially the businesses. They're all about building those connections.
all the sources we looked at, they all mentioned that local thing. And they talked about how the Danforth is known for being Greek town. Does that translate to the actual dental care? Like, are there services you wouldn't find in other parts of Toronto?
It's an interesting thought. Not every clinic's going to be like specifically Greek focused or anything, but think of it this way. A dentist who's really ingrained in that culture, they might be more aware of certain uh, dietary habits, maybe even traditional remedies. It could shape how they approach oral care.
That's fascinating. It's like a deeper connection to the community actually means you get different care.
Right. And speaking of different, the Danforth is like all about embracing the newest dental tech too.
Oh, yeah. The source we were looking at mentioned digital x-rays and these 3D scanners, which honestly sound a little, I don't know, intimidating. If you haven't been to the dentist in a while, it's a lot. So break it down for me. Why is this tech such a big deal?
It's not just about having the coolest gadgets, though. Don't get me wrong, some of them are pretty cool. It's about making the experience better for you and hopefully getting you better results. Those digital x-rays, they use like 90% less radiation than the old school ones.
Wow. Okay, that's huge.
And the 3D scanners, think about getting a crown done in one appointment instead of having to go back multiple times.
So it's faster, probably more comfortable, and safer. Okay, that changes things.
Exactly. And it all goes back to how the Danforth dentists are really aiming for that next level care, which you also see in the range of services they offer.
Right, because most people, when they're looking for a dentist, they're scanning that list, right?
Mhm.
Preventative, restorative, cosmetic. This source mentions all of that. But what about beyond the basics? What should we be looking at?
So this is where those like insider tips come in.
Hmm.
Just looking at how long someone's been in business, how many years experience. It's a start.
But it's not the whole picture.
Exactly. Someone could have
Mhm.
been a dentist for decades, but that doesn't mean they're keeping up with the latest tech or techniques.
Ah, I see.
Checking out online reviews, those can help, but honestly, a direct recommendation from someone you trust is still the gold standard,
Mm.
and specifically on the Danforth, convenience, it's key,
Oh, 100%. Trying to fit a dentist appointment into a packed schedule, the worst.
especially in Toronto. This source actually points out evening and weekend appointments as being like a major bonus. And on the Danforth, where there's always something going on, that flexibility, it's huge.
Yeah, no kidding. It's Toronto, right? Even just getting groceries can feel like a marathon some days. Speaking of marathons, this source we're looking at, it mentions how picking a Danforth dentist, it's not even just about like fitting it into your schedule, it's about a relationship, a long-term one. What's the advantage there?
Well, it's definitely more than just having the dentist know your name.
Yeah.
Right. Although, don't get me wrong, that personal touch is always nice.
Yeah, for sure.
But when a dentist, when they really know your history, everything that's been done, they're just more likely to pick up on those little changes, things that maybe someone else would miss.
It's like they've got like a dental detective file on you.
Exactly. They can connect those dots. And this actually connects to another thing that came up in the research that I thought was interesting, that community connection piece. These local clinics, especially on the Danforth, they're so tuned in to what's going on with people's dental health in the area. It's kind of amazing.
So it's like they have a finger on the pulse, not just of like one patient, but of the whole, I don't know, the whole neighborhood's teeth.
Yeah, exactly. Let's say, hypothetically, there's, I don't know, a certain group of people on the Danforth. Maybe they're all prone to the same kind of dental problem because of whatever, genetics or something. A dentist who's been working in that community for years, they're going to be way more aware of those patterns and can adjust how they approach things. You're not going to get that from just like scrolling through a website.
That makes a lot of sense. Speaking of websites, the source we've got, it mentions patient reviews, but it doesn't really go into detail. That feels like this is where the deep dive is super useful.
100%.
Yay.
We've read through all of those reviews, so you don't have to.
Doing the hard work for us. I appreciate it.
And obviously, we can't name specific places or anything, but we can give you the overall sense of what people are saying about Danforth dentists.
Okay, hit me with it. What's the main takeaway? What are people saying?
Overall, it's overwhelmingly positive. People talk about how friendly the staff are, how welcoming the whole environment is, which kind of tracks with that whole Danforth vibe we were talking about before, right?
Yeah, for sure.
But the thing that really stood out to me is how many people mention painless procedures, like specifically. Seems like Danforth dentists are really, really focused on making sure you're comfortable, which, let's be honest, not all dentists are great at that.
No argument for me there. I don't think anyone actually enjoys getting dental work done. So if you can find someone who makes it as painless as possible, that's huge.
It's a big deal. And let's be real, a lot of people, the cost of dental care, it's a major stress.
Oh, yeah, it can be super expensive.
And what we found in our research is that Danforth clinics, they tend to be really upfront about their pricing, which I think helps.
Transparency is key, seriously. Getting hit with some crazy hidden fee, the worst. But what about for those bigger procedures? You know, the ones you might need to save up for. What then?
Well, the sorts we looked at mentions payment plans as being a possibility, which can make a big difference if you're thinking about implants or Invisalign, that kind of thing. Makes it accessible to more people, which is great.
Right. It shouldn't be like a luxury taking care of your teeth.
100%. It's part of your overall health. You got to think of it that way.
You know, it's funny. This whole thing has got me thinking. We were talking before about how the energy on the Danforth, it kind of makes even running errands like fun almost. So, is it possible that choosing a dentist there could it actually make you more likely to go to your appointments?
Whoa, okay. That's a really cool idea. You're saying like going to the dentist
Mm-hmm.
could become enjoyable or at least not something you dread.
Think about it. You already associate the Danforth with good things, right? Having a coffee at that place you like, finding some cool vintage thing. If you add a dentist appointment onto that, maybe it's not so bad. It's like a chore that's also a chance to hang out in a fun part of town.
From a psychology standpoint, that's fascinating. We know that if you connect something you don't want to do, like classic example, going to the dentist, with something you do want to do, you're more likely to actually do it.
It's like you're building up those good associations. The Danforth becomes a place you want to be, not just a place you have to go because you need a cleaning.
Yeah, you're reframing the whole experience.
This is blowing my mind. We went from let's find a dentist to like a whole new way of thinking about dental care in general.
It really seems like picking a dentist on the Danforth, it's bigger than just the teeth cleaning, right? It's about a dentist who gets you, who's up on the latest stuff, and who honestly makes you feel like you're part of something.
So next time you're on that Danforth, just picture it. You're walking down the street, feeling good, and hey, maybe you pop into your dentist's office. Maybe it's time we all rethink those checkups, you know? Find your dental home base on the Danforth.